case you want to assign to
Your
me?
first case is the parole of Emil Blonsky.
I love She-Hulk. I miss this.
Of the Hulk, wasn't it? You know, I tried.
He is the Hulk.
It wasn't personal or anything. So
He's a big man.
it was under direct
Not
order
personal.
from your government.
But then you went on a destructive rampage.
Yeah, because they
Right.
pumped me full of that super soldiers.
Who's they? Who's they?
Yeah,
Who's they? It's not. I didn't do it, but I know who did.
Not me. It wasn't me.
Are you sure?
I would never do. I would never
protest
pump.
too much.
I would never pump this beautiful man with this extra steroid. But I know who did. I know who did, and I can't wait to get into it today because, oh my
Yes.
gosh. Welcome back to New Rockstars, you guys. Betty Ross enters the MCU again, and it's Liv Tyler is confirmed to make an appearance in Captain America New World Order, along with her father, Thunderbolt Ross, now played by Harrison Ford, and Tim Blake Nelson's the leader. We've got a Hulk, a She-Hulk, Skaar, Abomination. What's this? An Incredible Hulk staycation? Also, the runtime for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is much longer than the other Guardian movies. This one in particular needed to be this long to really experience the full arc of every major Guardians character. This was said by James Gunn, not by me. Is this the Guardians farewell package or is it just James Gunn's? We're going to talk about both of these things today because it's so much to take in. And this is Inside Marvel, New Rockstars weekly Marvel reaction show. I'm Jessica Clemens. Here with me today is Erik Voss and MT.
Hello, Jessica.
Yeah, this episode's going to be 2 hours and 29 minutes. Not an ounce of fat on
Not
it.
an ounce of fat on it.
Not an ounce.
Not to be a butthole. As soon as he was like, no, not an ounce of fat on this, I was like, I better not see an ounce of fat then. I was like, I better not see a single ounce of fat then. And I know.
Yeah, the moment we see a bit of fat in the opening act of the movie, we're just going to stand up and scream, fat!
Fat! And I'm gonna be like, oh, this hurts my feelings. Be sure to check.
Like, who is this?
Who's yelling? Yeah, who's yelling? Side note: when I was at Everything Everywhere All at Once, a fight broke out during the Rock scene, and I was like, I thought it was. The Rock scene is so quiet, and this guy was like, "If you're gonna talk, get up and talk then." And I was like, "Oh my god." I'm crying right now, and these two men are fighting.
Oh my god!
Watch out for.
Was it between The Rock and Zachary Levi?
Just like Superman in the movie.
How is that a rock and I'm the Rock? There can only be one Rock.
Jesus. Be sure to check out nerdriot.shop where you can always grab the latest and greatest New Rockstars gear. Right now, you can check out our new line of merch inspired by The Mandalorian Season 3. Support the channel and check out our great merch options over at nerdriot.shop. You both are always wearing great merch. You're wearing the Super Mario Brothers New Rockstars merch.
Yes.
It's so cute. Wahoo! And then we got our deep dive shirt. Ooh, today is...
Throw some D's on it.
Throw some D's on that.
That's the motto for the deep dive.
We should try to remix it, but I think they'll come for us. I forgot who sings that song. And don't forget to subscribe again to our newest channel, The Deep Dive. Erik just dropped his deep dive on Tim Burton's The Batman. Arguably, depends on the person, the best Batman. Depends on the person, the best Batman. In Letterboxd, it was the highest ranked, like, the Batman. And I was like, oh, it's very interesting.
I don't even think it's the best Tim Burton Batman. I love the movie, but I think Batman Returns is a better film.
I think a lot of Letterboxds come into like nostalgia and which one felt for a lot of people. And of that time, that was a big cinephile time. So people were just like, this is the best one. Either way. Erik just dropped his deep dive on Tim Burton's The Batman and how it changed superhero films forever. As you know, it is the #1. Subscribe to the deep dive so you don't miss out on that. And let's get into our big discussion today about Betty Ross returning to the MCU.
What does this mean for the MCU with Betty Ross's return?
Yes, there's a lot of questions around this, but a lot of theories. I think more theories than there are questions. So Betty Ross has literally now entered the chat. Now, Betty Ross appeared in 2008's Incredible Hulk, played by Liv Tyler. She's also Thunderbolt Ross's daughter, a scientist, a professor, the love interest to Edward Norton's Hulk. Eventually in the comics, she does become the Red She-Hulk at the hands of MODOK and the Leader. What we know in the MCU right now is that in Captain America New World Order, they casted not just her, Tim Blake Nelson as Samuel Stearns, aka the Leader, who was also featured in the 2008's Incredible Hulk, Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley, Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres, our new Falcon, and newcomer Shara Haas as Sabra. We can't also forget, of course, Anthony Mackie as Captain America, but what does this mean for the Hulks all together, because we could have 5 potential Hulk-blood-related catastrophes in the MCU now if they turn Thunderbolt Ross and Betty Ross both into Hulks like they do in the comics. I just want to hear from you guys what Betty Ross could mean to the MCU and what we're looking forward to with her return.
Yeah, I never thought they'd get Liv Tyler back in here. They had the form of Liv Tyler from an episode of What If. Remember, that's the one where Hulk pops.
Yes.
So it seems like they're still intent on bringing her back because they completely changed the look from Ed Norton to Ruffalo there, but they kept the look of Liv Tyler.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just interesting how they're still afraid to make a Hulk movie. Maybe the rights might be tied in at Universal. We don't really know though, because Universal hasn't really tried to develop a Hulk movie in like forever. So yeah, I think we're going to see Captain America: New World Order that has the backdrop of a Hulk family movie. That's kind of what it seems to be the case. If you're going to have Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Ross and his daughter. Now, the set photos that have come out look like it's at a funeral setting where Mackie's arm is in a sling. Do we think this could be the funeral of the former President Ritson from Secret Invasion, Dermot Mulroney or Dylan McDibby? One of the most confusing actors in Hollywood. Yeah, do we think he might die and then that's like the funeral they're at and then that could ascend to Thaddeus Ross, like Vice President Thaddeus Ross in the position of the presidency? That's what I'm kind of wondering about the political succession of this.
I think President Ritson has to be the president because there was not only the little it wasn't a spoiler. I wouldn't say it was a spoiler. It was a piece of a newspaper that had him in it, and I think in New World Order, and then we have that little stinger of it. The ticker of it and Wakanda Forever. So I think it's leading to like President Ritson. Something has to happen to President Ritson, either that he's a Skrull or that he's dead. And I want it to be that he's a Skrull because it's like, I don't, would it make for good storytelling if President Ritson, not a Skrull, does die and then the next person in line is Thunderbolt Ross and then we just have to figure out where Thunderbolt Ross has been since we last saw him? Would that make for too much, too little?
I think having the president be a Skrull would be like the ultimate fear tactic for like people like Val to use to make the people scared for the Skrulls in the MCU. And I think that I think having the president, having the Skrulls infiltrate the presidency would freak people out.
Yes.
And like it would probably bolster President Red Hulk, who's just like super anti-alien, super like basically like we can't have anybody coming onto our planet. We have to build a wall around the planet. Basically, there's probably going to be a lot of parallels to that. But I feel like it's probably going to be a scenario where the president gets replaced by a Skrull. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah. I think you're right, MT. I think Secret Invasion, we do see a shot of Dermot Mulroney in a presidential like an SUV, like part of the motorcade, and it gets hit. It gets like hit by a missile or something like that. So I wonder if the real President Ritson gets killed, but that's just kept under wraps. And then they replace him with like, the Kevin Kline movie Dave. They replace him with a puppet version of him who is a Skrull pretending to be him.
Right.
So that conspiracy gets exposed by Thaddeus Ross,
right,
who leads kind of the military industrial complex. And he's like, you can trust me. Get off my plane. I need to find my wife. And then so he gets thrust into power through some kind of like constitutional crisis or something like that. Maybe there's some kind of coup, but he's able to seize control of the White House. Maybe there's an election to justify it. And then he gets to become president that way. But like the fact that Liv Tyler's coming back too, it puts her in a position where she's going to have to temper her old man. I don't know if they're going to make Liv Tyler or Hulk 2 because, are they really going to put the budget behind hulking out Liv Tyler as well? I think at that point it might become just too much of a Hulk movie.
The thing what I would like, if I had to choose between Thunderbolt Ross turning into a Hulk or Liv Tyler, I'd probably choose Liv Tyler. And that's only because this is a really stupid example, but I was watching an interview with Matt Stone and Trey Parker from ages ago, the creators of South Park, where they said, if you say, and then, if you're writing a script and you keep saying, and then, you're going to be trapped in a hole. But if you say, therefore, this happens, that's when you don't find yourself in that hole. And I think turning Thunderbolt Ross into the Hulk is a more and then this happens. But I think turning Liv Tyler into the Hulk is like, okay, so therefore Thaddeus Ross is going to be like, my daughter's a Hulk. Like, Hulks have ruined my life. And this is his reaction, is becoming the president and being like, we need to stop all of these things from happening. I like that storyline in the comics where Thunderbolt Ross turns himself into a Hulk because he hates the Hulk so much. Like, he's like, I'm going to turn myself into a Hulk because that's the only way I can defeat a Hulk. So I think him slowly going into madness because his daughter, that justification and that motive is really good to change. I just also, maybe she gets turned into a Red Hulk by dying first. I know I love when people die in these movies, but giving him like a motive that's his daughter, I think is what lifts him up to become president.
No, those are all really, really good points. But I think that Liv Tyler's inclusion in New World Order is super, super important, considering Liv Tyler's status as a scientist in the MCU. Because like we would not have the Incredible Hulk the way he is if it wasn't for Liv Tyler's work on radiation and the human body, specifically Bruce Banner's body, being able to absorb massive amounts of gamma radiation without dying. It's her science. She made an antidote or a serum that allows Bruce to be able to accept the radiation. So I think that having her in this movie, especially with a maniac who is obsessed with improving humanity like the leader, I think that he wants to probably use her to try to figure out that perfect formula, that juice to get the super soldier serum legacy to people or to himself. Maybe he wants to use it to himself to further enhance his brain. But I definitely feel like it's going to be Betty Ross's science that the leader probably wants to get at to help synthesize this new superpowers within people, because he's obsessed with just improving people and like getting rid of sickness, and that's his whole MO. So I feel like it's Liv Tyler's character is going to be a big help for him.
I think the leader, it's so interesting. Okay, so also two things. I realized I just fridged the hell out of Betty Ross. So I take back everything I said. Do not kill her. Do not turn her into a Red She-Hulk to make him go higher. Switch it up. Make him Red Hulk. Either way. So, and then secondly, I still want to believe that the leader, because it's like, we don't know where he was this entire time. And Emil Blonsky knocked him out, he hit his head on the ground, the blood went into his head. So I think he still has that this is the guy that broke into my lab, forced me to give him the Hulk blood, turned him into a wild man, and then I got turned by being just under his control. So I want to believe that the leader has just been sitting there the entire time watching Emil Blonsky watching him turn into from a heel to a good guy, and just being like, this guy sucks. And so I think Emil Blonsky's kind of a bitch. Not Emil Blonsky. I think the leader is kind of a bitch. And I like the idea that the leader is going to be so underhanded foolish and is probably still tied with the intelligentsia in some way. Not just because it's in the comics, but just because I'm like, how are you, the guy, if you're that powerful, how did you watch Emil Blonsky, the guy that beat you up, took on Harlem, did all these things, and then you just stood by and let that happen as you slowly turned into a villain? I think you just are playing kind of a bitch game.
Well, we don't know exactly where the leader is now, but we do know that he was under SHIELD containment ever since the Hulk movie. So I mean, SHIELD has collapsed and all that has happened since. So who knows where he went? But maybe he's just still in containment or being used by Val. Who knows? But yeah, it's just him being a watcher rather than an active member does make him a little bit of a bitch.
I think with the title New World Order, I think the goal of this fourth Captain America film will be to expose the history of government operations, kind of the cloak and dagger operations, kind of the secret projects, and that includes Weapons Plus. I mean, that I think exposing the history of the Captain America Super Soldier program, that's what the first Hulk movie was. So they've always shared that DNA, the first Hulk film, the Phase 1 Hulk movie, the Phase 1 Captain America movie. And I think this movie could kind of bring it back together with a character like Thaddeus Ross. The fact that Isaiah Bradley is going to be in this as well just kind of tells you that those storylines from the Falcon the Winter Soldier of what the United States government was doing the latter half of the 20th century, how Hydra corrupted that operation, and how really the one with all the secrets to all of that history is Thaddeus Ross. I think he's going to be an interesting character to just mine for information. I mean, there was that detail. Remember in the Falcon Winter Soldier credit sequence, how it says refer all information referring to this file to Secretary Ross, Secretary Thaddeus Ross. And we all thought Thaddeus Ross was going to show up in Falcon Winter Soldier, and he didn't. I think all that stuff is going to show back up in this show. We'll see if the Tiamat theories end up coming true. But I think the more likely reach theory I'm going to go with for New World Order is something like Wolverine. I think at least establishing that history. I think that's why Ross is so important.
That's what I'm thinking about with Sabra, because we've never been introduced to her. So was she someone that changed because of the super soldier serum, or what they have already? And that's why I think it's more her than I think it's going to be an X-Men. But I also am like, there's so much happening in New World Order that I'm not scared, but I'm just like, okay, if we're going to start going over like the X gene, if we're going to be going through the Hulk blood again, if we're going through the super soldier serum again, and then we have Falcon, and then we have Sabra, and then we have the Hulks. What is the main focus just the science part of this, or is it the government part of this? Or
I think the main focus is the plan.
What's
what's the plan? Put that on a thumbnail. No, but I mean like the government's plan for super soldiers and for superheroes and superheroes that they can control.
Okay.
I think the plan is going to be like the mutant plan, but like falling short of mutants, things like super soldiers, like Hulks, like Wolverines. We might not get Wolverine introduced yet, but I think they're going to show us like, hey, the government had like, it was like the boys. Like we're going to see the boys side of the MCU, like how they were trying to control superheroes.
Right.
Yeah. And the military interests and the geopolitical interests that they wanted to
do you think they'll get into the disease that was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, because we got asked a lot about like that whole Donya Madani storyline and then that there might have been a pandemic related subplot. And now, to be clear, the director and the head writer, I almost included this in my recent investigation, but the director and the head writer both insist that whatever was removed from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was not a virus subplot, but it was something that like just like didn't work, and it was something within the Flag Smashers in the character of Donya Madani, their matriarch, who was just randomly killed off despite being cast as Veronica Falcone, who's like a very talented, big name actress. So I think it was something to do where she was kind of their Isaiah Bradley. Like she was part of this history of the super soldier program. And then for whatever reason, like this stuff just didn't come together. Or maybe the scenes just didn't really make sense with other things they were working on and they had to trim it down. But I think they might use the whole history of super soldier programs around the world and in different governments could be established in New World Order.
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like the common thread in New World Order, specifically with the leader being the main antagonist, is just superhuman people in general. People that are extra human. So like your super soldiers fall under that, your Hulks, your mutants potentially fall under that as well. So I think that New World Order could be that catalyst that pushes the overall enhanced human narrative forward in all three of those respects. It's sort of just to prepare us for the mutant saga furthermore. So yeah.
Perfect. I love this. And there's more theories on its way when we get back into Inside Marvel. But first, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors that help bring Inside Marvel to you. When you're waiting around for your character to get brought back into the MCU, you're going to want to get a good night's sleep. And for years, we here at New Rockstars have trusted our sleep to Helix. Helix makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs and conveniently shipped right to your door. Which Helix mattress is right for you? Don't worry about it. Helix made a sleep quiz that matches your unique body type and sleep preference to the perfect mattress just for you. Based on your different sleep positions and firmness preferences, they have something for everyone's unique taste. And if you sleep with a partner, you can take the sleep quiz together and find something that's perfect compromise for the both of you. I love my Helix mattress. Again, I told you I'm a big-bodied woman. I'm a thick lady. I'm a She-Hulk, and my bed is perfectly fit for my size. And I sleep alone. Actually, I sleep with my cat, so it's perfect for both of us. The best part about all of this is that Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. Plus, Helix has a 100-night sleep trial, so you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love it or you'll get a full refund. Helix mattress has a 10-year warranty, and they even offer financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never too far away. I love my Helix mattress, and I think you would too. If you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix. You can click the link below or go to helixsleep.com/InsideMarvel to get 20% off your Helix mattress plus 2 free pillows. That's helixsleep.com/InsideMarvel.
All right, guys, our next question for today is, what is the full arc for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Great question, because this movie's coming. Okay, you guys.
Yes,
Okay,
I cannot
you guys.
wait.
I know that MT. I'm ready to hear what you have to say about this. So James Gunn, I'm gonna summarize what he's been talking about lately. So James Gunn left no room for fat. His words, not mine. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, explaining in a series of tweets that though this is the longest of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, running at nearly 2.5 hours, which isn't as long as it is as long as Endgame, right? Endgame was like 3 hours.
Endgame was 3 hours and 2 minutes. I think Endgame was the only one to break 3 hours.
I mean, 2.5 for a movie, I'm always like, it's too long, but this is better than, or is not as long as the other ones to me. I don't think it's that long. Either way.
It doesn't matter to me. I bring my catheter, so I'm fine.
You're disgusting. This one in particular needed to be this long to really experience the full arc of every major Guardians character, as he said. He fully said in this tweet, and I promise, not a second is wasted. There's no fat. It was necessary to experience the full arc for every major Guardians character, not only for this film, but for the trilogy, or should I say trilogy plus. And when he's saying trilogy plus, he's talking about his movies, the Guardians 1, 2, and 3. And the plus is the holiday special, Infinity War, and Endgame. But he also mentioned in an interview with Total Film recently, the most important thing for me was Rocket's story. And then following that, everybody else. Rocket is the secret protagonist of the Guardians of the Galaxy and has always been the center of it for me. And this is really fulfilling that. The reason I came back and decided to do this movie was because I really felt like Rocket's story needed to be told and it was left hanging after Volume 2. So that's the most important thing. The end has always been like the looming phrase for all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And the synopsis even mentions that if they're not successful in this mission, it could possibly lead to the end of their story altogether. And I feel like using the word arc implies that it's an end point. So what is the full arc? What is it? What is it? I get that like Rocket is the point, is your point. You're like, we need to go over his, but I guess what is the full arc to the Guardians franchise, to his storyline, and to the characters?
Well, I think overall, especially for Rocket, I think the overall arc for Rocket is finding his family, but also dealing with his past. Dealing with your past and finding your family. That's the whole thing with Guardians. And then we saw that with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with Peter and him confronting his dad and like him finally getting to meet his dad and him realizing that his dad was an asshole and overcoming that and him being happy with the family that he got. But Rocket's story was still very much being told throughout that trilogy. And it wasn't finished with Guardians 2, like James said. Because like we I just totally glitched out. Because remember with Yondu, and Rocket, that whole relationship in Guardians 2 was super special because Yondu saw himself in Rocket and how damaged he was and how his past kept him from moving forward and developing a real family. And they both thought that they weren't lovable, like they weren't like they were just so irredeemable. And like at the end of Guardians 2, Peter says, no, like, it's fine. We'll always forgive you. And I think that's really important. And so now that they're all a family, Rocket still has to resolve his past with the High Evolutionary, much like Peter resolved his issues with his dad. So that's sort of that main thing. It's like, all right, you can't really move forward with your new family if you're still hung up on your old family type of deal.
And the rest of them had like families that kind of got like Drax is kind of... Actually, Drax, I don't know. Technically, I guess it came to a conclusion, but Nebula's definitely did. And then Mantis, we kind of figure out that she's the sister to Star-Lord. So it's like, it feels like everyone kind of got a story fully. Maybe.
Well, not really. Because like we still have Mantis who's still trying to find her place in the world. Nebula lost her sister. And like that was the only family that she had left after, Thanos got snapped away. So there's still stuff left there. There's Drax and his, where does Drax go from here? Thanos is gone. So like, what's his ending? So like all those little stories need to be wrapped up, especially also Adam Warlock and that little teaser at the end of Guardians 2. That's a big story about fathers coming up there. But yeah, that should be really great. I love Guardians. It's a family story. It's all about dads and finding new family.
Yeah, I think there is kind of an inherent theme to James Gunn's work as a whole, but especially in these Guardians of the Galaxy films of brokenness, accepting one's scars and flaws as part of your identity, and being able to find that as a common link with a found family as opposed to the family you were born into. That was especially the case in Volume 2, right? Peter had to choose between the family he chose, the family who chose him, and the family that, didn't necessarily choose him. He was just kind of born into. There might be a more of a kind of a darker, more of a mature discussion that's explored in Volume 3 of, does my existence do more harm to the universe than good?
I love that.
Because you have to think of it in terms of Rocket, like all of these characters were kind of born out of these tragic circumstances. Like Peter Quill only exists because Ego horrifyingly wooed Meredith Quill and then left her with a brain tumor. Mantis is also the spawn of Ego. Nebula at this point is part machine, part carbon creature, but like they've all used to be children of Thanos and committed these war crimes. And Rocket kind of has this, like, I compare it to that really sad Meowth episode of the Pokemon animated series.
Yeah.
Right? Where he was trying, where there was this other cat that he fell in love with, and because she was obsessed with people, he's like, oh, I'll turn myself into a person who walks on two legs and I'll talk. And then like she was like, oh, you're a freak. And then that's why he's so sad, and he joins Team Rocket to try to kill Ash and Pikachu. It's like so sad, and I feel like there's something there with Rocket. Like Rocket may feel like we are, by being the product of the High Evolutionary, I allowed the High Evolutionary to profit off of myself, and I gave himself a template, a blueprint to use to create all these other creatures who have these buried mental health issues, you know? So like, yeah, I don't know if that's like a ponderance on self-destruction and on existence as a whole, but like, I think the Guardians of the Galaxy may be dealing with the fact that the galaxy doesn't want them to guard them anymore. So they're kind of feeling this sense of redundancy. Are we actually helping right now, or are we creating more problems?
That's so sad. It's so sad, but I feel like even when he's going to James Gunn going off to DC, like that was like the big tweet that he said about Superman Legacy, that he was just like, yeah, it's the day my dad passed away. And it's a lot of like, these are like our families and remembering, but also dealing with the most saddest things in the world. Maybe I hate saying it, but it's also true. From sadness usually comes joy, and maybe that's like what the Guardians 3 is gonna be. Is like it's gonna be succumb to sadness, but it's gonna be like a breath of fresh air for them. God damn. Well, any happy words before I sign off on this?
No, like if there's anything that James Gunn knows how to do, it's write a really great story about dads, because James Gunn really loved his dad a lot, and like you could see that in all of his movies. And like, I love that he's going to be doing Superman Legacy specifically for this reason, because Superman is a massive story about dads. And like, I think the legacy part of Superman Legacy is going to be about him being him being the son of two fathers. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
And to put a positive spin on this, like I think what I'm excited for this is we might actually get a finite ending.
Yes.
To something in the MCU. And I think we often associate endings with death, but endings are just transformations.
Right.
And I think, you know, if you think of Return of the King, where Frodo goes to the Grey Havens and he leaves, because I think he views like, he's like, this Middle Earth is not for me anymore. I need to move on. I need to find a new adventure. And that's how stories can end. It's just characters just leave each other. And this era of their life is over, but they are going to find a greater happiness and peace by doing something else that is not like so mired in conflict.
Right.
That when we watch these protagonists in movies, we're often seeing the most traumatic phases of their lives. So just to let that character be happy and live their best life, just take them out of these war scenarios, please.
Take them out of these war scenarios, please. Yes, James will do a great send-off. You guys, that's it for this episode of Inside Marvel. Remember to subscribe to the Deep Dive channel at Deep Dive NR. Follow me at Lulu_Clemens. Follow Erik at EA Boss. And follow MT at Mastertainment. Subscribe to Inside Marvel wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
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 Bye.